Imagine waking up on a perfectly normal morning. The sun is rising. Children are playing in the streets. Merchants are setting up their stalls. And then, in less than 18 hours, everything you have ever known is gone. As if it never existed. This is the story of Pompeii. But not the story you were taught in school. Because what history forgot to tell you, is that some people knew it was coming. And they did nothing. The year is 79 AD. Pompeii is a wealthy Roman city, roughly 20,000 people living in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. To them, Vesuvius was not a threat. It was a blessing. The volcanic soil was perfect for growing grapes. The mountain had been silent for centuries. There was no reason to fear it. But beneath the surface, something was awakening. For weeks before the eruption, small earthquakes had been rattling the city. Wells were drying up. Dogs were acting strangely. Animals were fleeing the farms on the mountain slopes. These were signs. Ancient signs. And some people, the ones who paid attention, were beginning to get very nervous. Here is what the official history skips over. Pompeii had already survived a massive earthquake just 17 years earlier, in 62 AD. That earthquake destroyed much of the city. And rather than rebuild elsewhere, the Romans chose to stay. They repaired the temples. They rebuilt the bathhouses. They told themselves the worst was behind them. But the slaves knew better. Archaeological evidence shows that in the days before the eruption, wealthy families began sending their slaves ahead, out of the city, carrying valuables, gold, jewelry. The rich were quietly preparing escape routes while their neighbors slept peacefully. And then, on the morning of August 24th, everything changed. At approximately 1 in the afternoon, Vesuvius exploded with the force of 100,000 atomic bombs. A column of ash and rock shot 15 miles into the sky. Within minutes, rocks were raining down on Pompeii at over 100 miles per hour. People grabbed whatever they could and ran. But here is the part that haunts historians. Many victims were found not running, but hiding. Crouched in cellars. Huddled in corners. Clutching their jewelry and their children. They believed if they waited long enough, it would stop. It did not stop. The final surge, a superheated cloud of volcanic gas traveling at over 100 miles per hour, reached Pompeii at 6 in the morning. The temperature hit over 500 degrees Celsius. Every living thing in the city was dead within seconds. So what is the secret that history forgot? It is this. When archaeologists excavated Pompeii centuries later, they discovered something extraordinary. Entire sections of the city had already been abandoned before the eruption. Homes were empty. Businesses were closed. Someone had already removed the most valuable decorations from the temples. The elite of Pompeii, the senators, the wealthy merchants, the ones with connections and resources, had been given private warnings. They had left. And they had told no one. 20,000 ordinary people died not because they had no warning, but because the warning was never meant for them. Pompeii is remembered as a tragedy of nature. But perhaps it is also something else. A story about who gets to survive, and who gets left behind. The ashes preserved everything. The food still on the tables. The graffiti on the walls. The expressions frozen on the victims' faces. Pompeii did not just preserve a city. It preserved a moment of brutal human truth. Some people always know what is coming. The question is, who do they tell? This has been Past Nova. If this story made you think, subscribe, because the past is full of secrets that history never wanted you to find.